It's considered an upset when an incumbent doesn't get reelected. So let's talk about Commissioners Shaw and Joseph. They aren't upset when innocent until proven guilty people are pepper sprayed in restraints in the jail.
Alright, lean forward.
Do you white people feel good doing this?
They aren't upset when a traffic stop for tinted windows results in a paraplegic getting dragged out of their car by their hair. But man, were they upset when Commissioners Fairchild and Turner Sloss refused to rubber stamp their emergency vote for a city budget.
And refusing to pass a budget is dangerous, irresponsible, and not what we were elected to do.
They claimed the city would go under instead of blaming the city manager for her lack of planning. When you see endorsed by the Democratic Party, just know that you can literally be an FBI informant on your way to prison and still get their endorsement. What you can't be is an independent thinker like Fairchild and Turner Sloss. Then the party sends out attack mailers. This May 2nd, it's time to upset Commissioners Shaw and Joseph by voting for anyone but them in the primary. Because by now, you should know that the only people they work for is the demolition contractors. This message paid for by elect Esrati. Welcome to the live stream. I'm David Esrati, and this is your opportunity to talk to me one-on-one, answer questions. I see I've got one person online. Hopefully there'll be more. It is 2023, and you know what that means? It means this is the 30th year that I've been trying to run for public office in Dayton. And you want to know what makes me the most mad of any of it? Nothing has changed. You can say all kinds of things. You can say anything you want. I said a lot back in, this is literally 1993, when I ran for mayor to unseat Richard Clay Dixon. I published an 11 by 17 broadsheet with all this information. And I didn't get enough voters because they instead chose Mike Turner. But I'm going to shock you. The Dayton Daily News has been writing a thing about the high cost of child care and that child care is a major impediment to poor people getting jobs. That's been the last 3 days in the paper. I'm going to read directly, verbatim, from 1993. How subsidized daycare will create tax revenue. Jobs aren't coming here because our effective tax rate is one of the highest in the state. We don't offer anything that makes it more affordable to do business in the city. What we have is a surplus of single-parent workers ready to work if they had great, affordable child care. Besides health care, daycare is the second toughest obstacle for many employers. We can fix that and create a win-win situation in Dayton. The subsidy would be based on a formula of your income level, residency, and where you worked. If you live and work in the city and make less than $25,000 a year, you would pay less than an hour's pay per week per child. If you only lived or worked in the city, you would pay twice the above. High quality, available, subsidized daycare will be an incentive for new business to locate here and for dual wage earner families to return to the city. This means more tax dollars and more jobs. Building projects like Horace Shannon give us short-term construction jobs, and we end up with more subsidized rental units, not tax revenue. So, I see we've got a comment. tired of hearing the lies about how great downtown Dayton is and the horrible roads and burned out houses. They only repave roads near hospitals. You noticed, except Wayne Avenue is right by the hospital, and it's not getting repaved. But let me go back. I'm going to read a little more. I agree with you entirely. Downtown Dayton, I guess we've got money for yet another hotel, $2 million they just approved, forgivable loan to build a hotel in the arcade. I don't know what that does for the people in the city of Dayton, because anybody who needs a hotel room in Dayton can find a hotel room or an Airbnb. But, so let's get back to, before I said the part about subsidized daycare, the lead-in was how we bring jobs and taxpayers back to the west side. Instead of building new homes in the Horace Shannon area near west side, that's the Wright Dunbar development, we build our first year-round school. Local residents will get first choice on attending this school. Since the housing stock is limited in the area, builders would have an incentive to build around it. In addition to the school would be a state-of-the-art year-round recreation center and a 24-hour daycare center. Instead of a tax abatements, we would encourage new construction with child care credits to be used by new residents and employees. This complex would draw investment by providing jobs at the rec center and the daycare facility, and draw employers who need workers who have affordable child care. Holy crap! This is blasphemy. No, we need to do that. Yes, I agree. Wayne Avenue is a disaster. So that's child care. I've been talking about it for 30 years, and no change. No change at all. So, next thing ticked me off. I made a proposal to Dr. Mack, who was superintendent around 2006, I think, about how to help Dayton Public Schools. And then they were having this problem of where the kids were congregating with the buses after school. They were, oh my God, 3rd and Main. I'm like, well, you're not giving them anything else. You're not giving them options. You're not giving them a place to go, a place to be supervised. So I proposed what I called Sportsplex. And I wrote about it a lot on my blog. In fact, I posted a bunch of that stuff and talked about it last week. Sportsplex was to go on the site of the old Parkside homes, which have been torn down for a while now. And what it was going to be Olympic scale facilities for sports. But not just for sports. I mean, I talked about having a velodrome, having indoor football practice facility, having all the kinds of things you'd need, an ice rink, Olympic pool, so that we could host tournaments, we could host training events, regional events. Because guess what? I can tell you as an Airbnb owner, WGI, Hamvention, those are great for my Airbnb. So are soccer tournaments. So are all these things that happen, the play-in game for the NCAA. These things bring people and dollars to our community. But it's not just that. Why shouldn't we have something nice? A pool. A pool where you could actually have swim meets. Have a hockey rink where we could have kids playing hockey and adults too. These are things that would make it better to live in Dayton. But no, that was a bad idea when I came up with it. But just recently, Miss Williams, who's in charge of Parks and Rec, said, oh, I've got this idea for a little bitty thing down there on the Parkside Homes location. So she's recycling my idea, taking credit for it, and not seeing the big picture. I envision basketball courts like Venice Beach, Muscle Beach, have the workout equipment stations outside so people could be outside, and think about what that would have been like during COVID. Everybody be out there working out at the gym outside, socially distanced. That was my idea. Yeah, we didn't do it. Let's. This makes me laugh. Let's see not holding Steve Roush accountable for the building downtown that he destroyed, and the city never made him tear it down. The way they are trying to rebuild downtown is just a quick fix. Only trying to focus on empty nesters and young professionals does not work, because neither one is going to put kids into the community, for the economy. Exactly. Well, we've got all the Water Street development and all the stuff around the ballpark. We've got a new hotel by the ballpark, another new hotel going in. You know, downtown's doing great, but why can't people find affordable housing? Next problem. We've had 5 deaths in the Montgomery County Jail this year. 5. We're only in the 4th month, so we're at a record pace. I've said it before, and I've said it again, and I'll keep saying it. Your leaders should not allow the citizens to go into a facility charged with a minor crime and end up dead. Am I wrong? Is it okay? Oh, they were a drug addict. No, that's not okay. Oh, they deserved it. They were in jail. No, that's not okay. Jail is supposed to be safe. And if we've got problems with mental health issues, let's put that back onto both Premier and Kettering, who don't have enough beds, who don't put the work in for psychiatry and mental health facilities that we need. Simple as that. If you have mental illness, you do not belong in a jail. You belong in a mental health care facility. I spent this morning in Columbus for a mental health competency hearing for the brother of the veteran I take care of. The prosecutor shows up. Oh, we're not prepared to go to court. And the judge looked at him and was really ticked and says, you got a week. Why? Because he's already spent a year in jail with a max sentence of a year for the crime that he's charged with, but he hasn't been convicted. They can take people and put them in jail and make you and I pay for it, not make them any better and not make our streets any safer. But that's what happens when we don't take care of the mentally ill. So, next up, things that tick me off. About 6 or 7 years ago, the school board had an opportunity to replace Lori Ward with a very competent, locally born and raised DPS graduate who is a legitimate educational superstar. His name's David Lawrence. And full disclosure, he's a friend. I like smart people. I like smart people who are no nonsense. If you look at the stats that he posted in the 3 years he was running Thurgood, with a 20% increase in scores, unheralded, unheard of, never done again, he's the real deal when it comes to running a school building. He knows how to run one. He knows the skills it takes. He can translate that for the other 27. And bingo, we have a school district that's functioning. The school board made sort of a half-assed attempt at bringing him back to the district after they bought him out and sent him away after they hired a drunk woman who lied about a lot of stuff and they fired. That was Rhonda Kaur. Rhonda had forced a buyout of Mr. Lawrence then. So he went and got his PhD and was working up happily in Northmont when they bring him back as business manager. Libby Lawley had said, I'm retiring. School board says, we're hiring a search firm. Guess what? Too little, too late. And nobody's going to be applying for this job to run your shit show of a school district with a board that is dysfunctional. How dysfunctional? 3, 4, 5, 6 hour meetings. One board member accusing another of something inappropriate. We could go on and on. This district is a literal and actual shit show. And now they're talking about hiring Libby Lawley for another year. No. Not acceptable. Hire Mr. Lawrence tonight. Hire him as an interim. Hire him whatever. But don't go back on and keep Libby Lawley for another year. Libby Lawley has, I don't care if they named her superintendent of the year, you look at her performance, the turnovers, the number of students, of teachers leaving this district, and that alone, she should be kicked out. Never mind, none of her scores have gone up. The performance in the district is still 608 out of 608. This board is dysfunctional. They go around the superintendent, talk directly to employees as if they are managers. That is not the job of a school board. They all should be removed, all 7 of them. The problem is, I don't think we can find 7 people to step up to take over and run this. What they've been doing has not been working. It's steps backwards like this that we cannot move forward. That a few people saying, oh, these people, he's going to piss people off, or he doesn't get along with people, or they don't like him, doesn't matter. Look at the performance. If he was able to work at Northmont without getting written up all those years, he must know something about working with people. Is the problem that we have too many people in DPS that are on the friends and family plan, or that were never competent in the first place and have survived through basic character assassination of other people? I can tell you there's one woman who's high up in that district that doesn't have a clue what she's doing. And she stayed through there like a cockroach through a nuclear explosion. So, Dayton Public Schools, it's time for massive changes. If you haven't watched my video, There Ain't No F in Dayton, you should take a look. Next up, and welcome who else checked in here. I see some more comments here. Promoting people that should not be promoted is a major problem in the workplace. I see it all the time where I work. Yeah. Let's go on to the next issue. The next issue is why being endorsed by the Montgomery County Democratic Party means anything at all. In fact, right now, they don't even endorse anymore. If you're an incumbent and you're a Democrat, you're automatically endorsed. Of course, that will stop once I beat Chris Shaw or Matt Joseph, and I'm the Democrat incumbent. They'll change the policy, and that's fine, because basically the party has no business endorsing anybody in a primary to begin with. And in the general election, their job is to get Democrats elected. And until we move to ranked choice voting, it's pretty simple. It's either a Democrat or a Republican. And you endorse your party members. Okay? But the endorsement isn't just about saying you're endorsed. Endorsement means we've got mechanisms to get literature out, to get people knocking on doors. We can move voters to vote for people because we provide good candidates with good ideas who do good stuff. But right now what we have is the Montgomery County Democratic Party, who works for the Montgomery County Democratic Party. It's the friends and family. That's why there's a Garris working everywhere. That's why people just never seem to lose their jobs. That's why Joe Lacey's back on the school board and still works for the treasurer's office. These people are doing everything they can to protect each other. And Joe, frankly, the party's shit on him more than a few times, and he's still a party member and in good standing. So, I want to go back to my literature one more time. I talked about all kinds of things here. I'm going to read some of them. I must say that we're going to start out with the big picture. This was written by 29-year-old me. If you think Dayton can stand another 4 years of the same commission, take a drive out West 3rd Street. They have spent millions of dollars beautifying downtown, moving statues and bricking sidewalks. They built us bus shelters that cost more than a house in Belmont. Meanwhile, everything west of the river has been turning into a slum of epic proportions. Building a landfill on the west side is a joke. It's already a dump. A dump for the people who don't build office towers or work in them. A dump for people who don't go to the theater because they live in one. A theater of decay and hopelessness. All the talk of the Wright Dunbar historic area and the Horace Shannon housing venture is akin to putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds. What the West Side needs is jobs, and the services that residents in the rest of Dayton take for granted. Relative to Belmont or University Row, there are no hardware stores, gas stations, or even fast food restaurants. If you want to feel insignificant, take a drive to the West Side. As one person on the Commission of 5, I won't be able to fix it overnight, but I can shift the perception of Dayton by Daytonians from despair and frustration to optimism and action. It won't be by spending $250,000 plus on an ad campaign calling us a city of neighbors or self-promoting shows on the public access channel. It will happen because I make things happen. I bought a $14,000 house and turned it into a $100,000 showplace with my own two hands. It's now a $250,000. My $2,200 corner grocery building is now a $75,000 office building. Now it's about a $150,000 office building. I work hard. My ad agency brought national attention to the Dayton Wings last year by challenging the Dream Team to a game. This is way back. The city attempted to help the Wings by giving them the convention center for free. As usual, throwing money at problems doesn't fix them. It's time to quit thinking like the federal government and start acting like a responsible business. Spending more doesn't make the problems go away. It just makes you go belly up. The economics lesson here is simple. The tax base will continue to decline until we can attract and retain residents raising children who are not on public assistance. With a declining tax base, we will not be able to attract businesses to serve our residents. Because most of Dayton sits on top of an aquifer, we are not going to attract heavy industry. Our population base of retirees, city employees, and welfare recipients can't supply a workforce for high-tech jobs. To bring back prosperity, we need leadership that fights to change the status quo. It's not about vision, it's about action. We have been led by committees, panels, and task forces for too long. We generate paper instead of prosperity. A 268-page city budget is just a new way to fill a landfill. If Fortune 500 companies manage to run on one-page memos, so can we. To add insult to injury in the mayor's 36-page Stop the Killing report, they write of an endangered urban species. Yes, Dayton citizens are a Darwinian subset in our leaders' eyes. The scary part is we have grown to believe that we can't change the system. The fact that we're having a primary for mayor is your cue to revolt against the power brokers who have long controlled Dayton for way too long. 30 years. Every word of it still rings true. Every last word. And that makes me mad. Next week, see you Tuesday. Elections in 2 weeks. Early voting's open now. If you live on a main street or know somebody who does and wants to host one of my large signs, please let me know. I'll deliver it. I take it down the night of the election. None of my trash sits up for a year later. We need change in this city, and the only way it's going to happen is if you do your part and share this message. I still have some of these. And if you want one, you can come to the office and pick one up. 100 Bonner Street, Dayton, Ohio. It's even got a picture of young David on the back when I had hair. Hey, how about that?
Somebody named Lynn Lamance likes what you're saying on Facebook.
Hey, Lynn, thank you so much. And I can't see your comments because we don't have it rigged up right. And, one other thing. The fairgrounds boondoggle because the city could not force Kroger's to move to the fairgrounds, and now our fairgrounds is just a big brown space. If you remember, there was no talk of redeveloping the fairgrounds until the idea of Wayne and Wyoming Kroger's fell through. Oh, there's more to the story of the fairgrounds, but basically there was a developer ready to drop $250 million in and build a green-like complex there, and no, the city premier and UD told him to go away and take his money and go elsewhere. His major business is driving the economy of Moraine, but we didn't want him here. Probably because we're racists and we don't like non-white people owning things in the city of Dayton. Anyway, that's that. And thank you for watching, and I hope you share this, and I hope you realize 30 years is too long to get the same shit over and over. This Tuesday coming up, May 2nd, get out and vote. Get your friends to come out and vote. If you want to make the biggest difference, vote just for me, or vote for me plus any of the non-incumbents. How about that? Take your pick. Any one of them. Doesn't matter. Pick one of them. Just make sure you get out and vote. Thank you so much. See you next Tuesday at 4.